Okay, this morning I have a review of a Syba SY-ENC50091 USB 3.0 docking station disc cloner. And I've just finished testing this thing and finding out as much as I can before I posted a video, because all the other videos of devices, either this device or devices like it, contain no useful information whatsoever about how fast it is, what you can do with it, what you can't do with it, nothing. And the device itself, at least from the eBay seller that I ordered it from, had no instruction manual. There was no instruction manual on Syba's website for this model. They had one for an older model, which seemed to apply, but once again, that manual had no specs. There's nothing about how fast this thing is or anything. So to start off with, it is powered by 12 volts. It has a standard USB 3 connection on the back. It has space for 2 serial ATA hard drives. It can take the 3.5 inch and the 2.5 inch. There's supposedly a limit of, I think it was 3 or 4 terabytes. Not really sure. Once again, not very good information on what exactly this thing can do. So the first thing I'll tell you about it is, when you hook it up to to the computer and you can put a hard drive in it, you would think you can use both bays, and you can put 2 hard drives in here. It will see both hard drives, but as soon as you try to do anything with either one of them, at least with my experience, the system will start reporting errors and problems, and I found that you just really can't put both of them in at the same time. Another thing that isn't clear is that when you use it in clone mode, it has to be disconnected from the computer, or else clone mode won't work. The software that came with it, or well, it didn't come with it, I had to download it, the One Touch Backup, is only for backing up your computer. It has nothing to do with cloning, and it's pretty much junk. I installed it, found out anything works better for backing up than the software that came with it. There is a firmware update on their website. I did not want to brick my unit, so I have not applied it. Unless the machine showed a problem, I'm not going to upgrade the firmware. I'm not going to take a chance of bricking it. Let's see. So initially for my test, I tried to clone 2 1 terabyte drives. I had a Western Digital green drive and a Seagate 1 terabyte, both drives same exact size. Started them working, and after over 24 hours, and it got up to 3/4, I stopped it. That just couldn't be, the speed at which it was going just couldn't be right. It was just taking too long. I knew both drives were iffy, and according to the instruction manual for the other, if you try to copy a hard drive that has errors on it, or copy to a hard drive that has errors on it, it won't do too well. And I think that was the issue, is both hard drives, I'm pretty certain, had one or more bad sectors. So let's go over the testing I did and what I found. First off, I used these drives for testing. I used one of these, a slightly larger drive but the exact same series, and I used one of these. Let me see, the program I used to test copying was Roadkill's Unstoppable Copier version 5.2. I just chose that because it gives me a kind of an average throughput for how fast it's copying, how long it's going to take. Let me see here. My first test was I copied data from one of my external USB 2.0 hard drives to this thing using the little 3.5 or the little 2.5 inch drive. It's 5,400 RPMs, and it took 16 minutes to copy 19.6 gigs of data, and that was a throughput of about 19.4 megabytes per second. I also tried copying the exact same amount of data from my network attached storage over my gigabit connection from my computer, and I got a throughput of 10 megabytes per second. Let's see. I then used the same data off the USB 2.0 drive to this hard drive, which is a 7,200 RPM drive, and the throughput averaged at 20.2 megabytes per second. Let me see here. I then also tried copying an additional 16.4 gigs from my local drive C to here, and although it started out a little bit slow, once I turned off my antivirus, the speed went up to an average of 22.4 megabytes per second. Let's see here. Cloning, and also to test how smart this thing is, if it only clones partitions or if it just clones the entire drive, I created a 32 gig partition on here and copied over the 19.6 gigs of data. And then I put this drive in here and started the copy, which took approximately 33 minutes. I'm not sure because I expected it to take a long time, and I went off and did some other things, came back, and it was at 3/4 of the way through the copy. I did note what time it started, and I was here to watch it stop, and it was 33 minutes. Then to verify if it was copying the whole hard drive or just the partitions, I copied over the additional 16.4 gigs of data. I expanded the partition out to 160 gigs, and then I did the whole copy again, this time very carefully keeping track of the time. I started the copy at 8:51 a.m. and basically kept track of what time it was when it hit each percentage, and it was approximately, initially I wasn't being very accurate, it was around 7 minutes 30 seconds, but it seemed to be about, when I was keeping better track of it, it was about 8 minutes for each quarter of the space, so approximately 8 minutes for 40 gigs of data. And I ran that through an online calculator. The total throughput averaged, in my case with my equipment, at 79.4729 megabytes per second. So it started at 8:51 a.m. and it finished at it was 8:51 and possibly 30 seconds, and it ended at 9:23 and 45 seconds. So given this information, a 1 terabyte, if you put 2 drives in here that were the same, had same or similar specs, 1 terabytes each, it would take approximately 3.5 hours to copy a 1 terabyte drive, or about 285 gigabytes per hour. So how do you start the cloning? The first thing you have to do is, like I said, it has to be disconnected from the computer, which this is. It has to be off. You push the button on the back to turn it on. And you wait until it fully spins up both drives. I would say about 15 to 20 seconds, give or take. Once it's fully up and running, all these lights will be blue. There will be 2 blue lights on the side, on each side. Also, it's not very well labeled, so I labeled it a bit more clearly. The back drive is hard drive A, the front drive is hard drive B. It only copies from A to B. If you screw up, you put the wrong drive in here, this thing has no way of knowing what you want to do. So if you put your good data in drive B, in slot B, and a blank disk in drive A, and you start the copy process, you will get a blank drive. So you got to make sure you put the right drive in the right slot. Now, I don't know if you can see those lights. Turn off that. On the front here is a button, and in order to start the cloning process, you just hold this button down until the lights start to blink. Let go, and the lights will do this little Cylon thing, and when it's 25% done, this light will go solid. 50% done, this light will go solid. 75, and then when it gets to 100, this light will go solid. All the lights will blink, I think once or twice, and then I think they go all solid, and it's complete. You can stop the process at any time. It's just that what you will get is a messed up file system on the second drive, which you can just delete the partition and start over. It doesn't matter. Let me think here if there's anything more about this. Alright, one thing I forgot to mention was that the hard drives in the Syba get very hot. I'll put on some infrared pictures that I took in here, and where you can see that it was getting at least up to about 122 degrees Fahrenheit without any air blowing on it. And then when I put a fan, which you're seeing here is one that I just kind of put together out of an old case fan and a camera tripod, the temperature went down to below 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and it actually went down to pretty much room temperature when it sat for half an hour or so. So it's something to think about if you're going to use this, that you might want to put a fan blowing on it. There you go. If I've made any errors or whatever, I will of course put descriptions over whatever I'm writing, and I will put a little write-up of basically what I said at the end of the video, and possibly in the description. But yeah, initially I was a little worried that it wasn't really as fast and as good as it said it was, but it turns out because I had faulty equipment, and once I got 2 good drives in it, it works very well. It's very quick, and I can tell you it's a whole lot faster than copying using Windows. I've in the past, when I've wanted to clone a drive, I've used RoboCopy, and RoboCopy can take, for about 1 terabyte of data, it can take, oh, let me see here,